What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Mock Draft Guy YouTube channel. Today, I have a very, very special guest here with a 2023 first-round mock with trades. It is Alex from Hail Mary Sports. My man, what's going on? Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is going to be a really fun one. If you guys do love mock drafts, I'm very excited to see if this is going to be an awesome collab for the future. So stay tuned for more videos because why not? More mock drafts are better.
Exactly. That's the motto that I go by. So today, what we're doing here, usually I give the guest the odd picks because they get the number one overall pick. We're switching it up today. I will be taking control of the odd picks. Alex will be taking control of the even picks. Not only that, we've already made trades in the top 10. I'm sure you could see it here. Arizona, Indianapolis, Tennessee making an appearance here in the top 10. We will explain them as we go along. We're not going to explain them now. So we're just going to get right into it. It's exactly what we're going to do. And I have the number one overall pick, Carolina. Pretty easy to me here. A lot of people might argue it is pretty 50-50 between CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. I don't think so. I think the size advantage that CJ Stroud has, will make him the number one overall pick. And also, judging by a bunch of social media posts and all that, it looks like it's as much of a done deal as we've seen.
Yeah. No, CJ's great. It's weird, though. He is only 11 pounds heavier than Bryce. Yeah. Although, I mean, we're not fooled. Bryce looked like he had a little extra hamburger grease on his sweatshirt when he was there at the combine. So we all know he probably isn't exactly that play weight. But 11 pounds more that's the intriguing thing to me because I totally agree with your analysis there. Also, Frank Reich never played with or never coached a quarterback that started under 6'2". Seems to make sense. I don't need to describe this one very much. Bryce Young at number 2. It's the pick. It is. If he's there, it's going to be the pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's been something ever since even Houston had the first pick. I mean, everyone was basically taking Bryce Young to Houston regardless of what place they are. And it's 1A. It's 1A and 1B, essentially. I think you would agree with that. Those are the two guys that will be off the board first and second. You know, never say never, but I think that's what it's going to be. And then pick number 3 here, we swapped one pick up. So I have the Indianapolis Colts here at number 3 overall. I just think that the Colts, just to make sure they get exactly who they're looking for, or at least whatever is left, maybe Bryce was QB1 on their board, but if that's the case, they might move up even further. I don't think Houston would be willing to trade. I think they are going to stay put at 2 and get their quarterback of the future. So Indianapolis trades up one spot just to ensure that they get a quarterback that they want. And I think that that's Anthony Richardson. I'm not going to lie. I think Anthony Richardson is a perfect fit in Sean Steichen's offense, and they desperately need a franchise quarterback. I'm tired of the 40-plus-year-old carousel that we've had here in Indianapolis the past 4 or 5 years. So I think that they buckle down, they get their franchise guy, and is a perfect scheme fit.
Awesome. I love Steichen with Anthony Richardson. And, just being able to use a mobile quarterback, being able to put his shoulder down. My one issue with Indianapolis when they had rumors about Bryce is, Jalen Hurts was not really the most protected guy there in Philadelphia when he was on the move. Obviously, I think he hurt his shoulder potentially on a run. I would be a little bit concerned about that. But with AR, 244 pounds of absolute Superman, yeah, that seems to be awesome. Pick number 4 with Arizona. Obviously, there's a lot of people who love Will Anderson here. They're sticking to a 4-3, if I'm not mistaken. So if that is the case with Gannon, I wouldn't fully trust Will Anderson to be that 2-gap player that they'd love. We talked about this. The idea of Jalen Carter is awesome. I'm going to hold off on selecting him just yet because I want to debate this pick right here. Jalen Carter is going to be kind of your upside, your Fletcher Cox, your Javon Hargrave that Gannon's so used to having. And the defensive interior class, not too bueno. We have to be able to address offensive line eventually, and round 2 feels like a better spot for it. So I think going offensive line later on is going to be valuable, and that's probably the time where you need to go interior defensive line if you don't take it here. So Jalen Carter has issues with his potential personality, but for the sake of newness, let's go after Jalen Carter here at pick 4.
You surprised me with that one, actually. I thought you were going to go for Tyree Wilson.
Oh, no, I think there's some really good 2-gap edge defenders in this class that you can grab on day 2, day 3. So you can wait for those guys.
I think with the fallout of Carter going at number 4, I have the Seattle Seahawks here at pick number 5. Before everything that we said and before, you get into the whole draft itself, this is a team that I thought possibly, if the draft doesn't fall this way, could be another trade down candidate as well. But I'm going to hold strong here at number 5. I mean, they basically have their pick of everyone that they want, every team need that they have. But I'm going to go with Will Anderson. I feel like it is the obvious choice here at pick number 5. Just probably, arguably, a lot of people say he's the best player in the entire class. I don't know where you stand on that. Everyone on this channel knows exactly where I stand on that. I actually do think Carter is a better player overall than Will Anderson. That's something that we can get into in a different day, but I think Will Anderson is exceptional. I think this would be a perfect fit for the Seattle Seahawks.
So something that I want to discuss is if Detroit is sitting there at pick 6 and the Cardinals are sitting there at pick 4, and you also know that the Seahawks don't like the personality of Jalen Carter, I think it would be a very wise move for the Detroit Lions and the Arizona Cardinals to pick swap. You have those extra second-round picks. I think that's going to be very valuable to a team like the Cardinals. It's another way to give them more picks, more players, and fill a lot more needs with good value. And I mean, tell me that Will Anderson on the Lions would not be awesome. You'd probably be lying. So that's why I thought that this pick should have been traded back. And it just wasn't a good enough player. You have a lot of signings there. There's a really deep corner class. For me, I feel like the best move would be for a team that offered for the first overall pick, so we know they're at least interested in the quarterback class, to grab a guy who's a system fit. To me, I think that Will Levis is very similar to what Ryan Tannehill is, but he offers a much higher ceiling.
All right. There we go. We're going with Will Anderson there at number 6. I think Will Levis, sorry. Too many Wills in this draft. Too many Wills in this draft class. But yeah, at pick number 7, I think that that's a great fit. And honestly, like you said, I mean, they explored trading up to number 1. So we know that they're willing to give up to get exactly what they're looking for. They're not moving all the way up to 1 potentially to get a Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. They're moving up to get a quarterback. So obviously they're in the market. Obviously there is some intrigue there. At number 7 here, I really like the interior of the defensive line here. Tyree Wilson is sitting there, but the secondary for the Raiders, I really thought that they were going to be more aggressive in free agency, going after corners that were there. They ended up really getting no one. Yeah. And I think that with Christian Gonzalez, Devon Witherspoon sitting there, I think they go Gonzalez here at number 7. I don't think that they think twice about this. You get potentially one of the best secondary players in the entire draft, and it's an immediate upgrade.
Yeah. It's a good pick. I would love to see Devon Witherspoon pair up with his boy Nate Hobbs, also from Illinois. But, you can't go wrong. No. I think that, Christian Gonzalez would be a home run hit. And I don't think the franchise is necessarily going to be super competitive. And I think Christian Gonzalez is going to reach his potential later than his first year. So it's a great time to take a longer-term investment for when you can compete. Pick number 8, I am actually handed a pretty difficult card because I love Witherspoon to this team. His defensive coordinator actually used to work with Huxtable, who is a defensive assistant on the Falcons. So you do have that connection there. But Tyree Wilson is incredibly valuable at this point. And I would be an idiot to say that that's not the best move. So I'm going to go Tyree.
Yeah, it kind of lines up perfectly. We discussed it before we started recording that if it was to fall here, it would be an interesting choice. I had maybe Nolan Smith as a surprise pick here, but you don't overthink it at this point, for sure. Chicago here at number 9. I saw a lot of mocks recently, maybe have potentially, if Devon Witherspoon is sitting here, maybe going after him. I think that is a little crazy. I think that Justin Fields has been sacked 91 times and 679 dropbacks in his career. I think you go out and you get a guy that could be a franchise left tackle. And I think you go and get Paris Johnson Jr. here. There's a little bit of shuffling that they'd have to do on the line. On the depth chart right now, you got Tevin Jenkins as the right tackle. You got Braxton Jones, left tackle. Maybe you slide Tevin Jenkins in, you move Jones over, and you let Paris Johnson take over at left tackle. I think that regardless, you get a mainstay in your offensive line for possibly the next decade when you get Paris Johnson Jr.
Absolutely. I just realized I completely screwed myself with this pick, number 10. I definitely should have taken the odds. But yeah, Eagles, if you're stuck here and nobody wants to trade up, remember, if you want to trade back, someone has to be willing to pay the price to trade up. And, you guys kind of filled a lot of the valuable positions like corner in free agency, which sucks because this is a great spot to take someone like Joey Porter Jr., Devon Witherspoon. This is a weird pick, man. It is. I do not want to discount Bijan Robinson. It's something that I've been kind of ballsy and willing to select, but I think I'm going to go with a more rational pick here, and I'm going to take Myles Murphy. I think he has the size, I think he has the intellect, and I think he has the run stuffing ability to be able to kick the inside as well as go on the outside on a hybrid set. So I'm going to go Myles for this one.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot, and I've seen him slide a lot recently in mocks, and I still never really got the full scoop on that. I think that would be a great pick at 10. And honestly, before we started recording, I did a mock earlier today, and I had the Philadelphia Eagles trading back to 19, and they still took Myles Murphy. So same wavelength there. We're right on it on that. So Detroit at number 11, you know, I do like Peter Skoronski here only because the guard situation gets a little hairy past this year for the Detroit Lions. But, I mean, Devon Witherspoon is sitting here, Joey Porter Jr. I know that they got Cam Sutton, they got Emmanuel Mosley in free agency.
Yeah.
That, to me, it just doesn't move the needle enough. I'm going to go with Devon Witherspoon here. The reason why, I feel like in the NFL, one of the most volatile positions you have out there is cornerback, where you could just never have enough talent. And in, a division with Justin Jefferson, I'm taking a cornerback to possibly shut him down.
Yeah. It was funny because when we talked about this before, I was like, dude, I'll just take the evens. I'll make sure that I can handle the Detroit Lions picks. And I just realized I literally handed you the keys to the Detroit Lions pick. So I apologize on that one.
No, completely cool, man. Completely cool.
My bad on that one. So at pick number 12, D'Amico Ryans is kind of in the screwed seat right here. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people love Lucas Van Ness. I'm not very high on him myself. I think Ryans would be a great guy to develop him, not at pick 12.
Not at 12.
So, man, because I would look at Jackson Smith and Jigba because he's going to pair up with his former quarterback. It makes sense, and it's something I haven't done myself, but I love that idea of pairing up the guy who's probably wide receiver 3 every single year they originally lined up there to be with his quarterback. But Jack Smith and Jigba is an incredible talent. He is. He's awesome, and definitely in this system, I think he can totally shine as a boundary receiver. My only concern is that Robert Woods might take his role early, so it would be weird, but I'm going to do it.
There you go. I feel like Robert Woods is just always like putting down other wide receivers everywhere that he goes.
Everywhere. He always finds a way. He's like a little parasite. You just want something to grow and develop, and it's like Robert Woods will just smack him right in there and just totally screw up their development. But fingers crossed, JSN can play a boundary X receiver as well. Logically, Quentin Johnston makes more sense, but yeah. I'm going to take the chemistry.
I think exactly what we talked about before, the fact that JSN was able to surprise us with his speed at his pro day kind of makes this a little bit more of a digestible pick at number 12. And I love it as well. That's something that I was going over as well. My New York Jets at number 13 here, man, let's be real. There's a lot of ways that I want to go here with this pick that I probably can't. Unfortunately, I still feel a little handcuffed with the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. I'm pretty certain that I don't think pick 13 is going to be in that trade, or at least I hope it's not going to be in that trade. So I'm pretty comfortable making a selection anyway here, and I'm going to have to go with offensive line. Mekhi Becton is getting in phenomenal shape. That's great. We can never count on him. Not only that, right tackle is just a revolving door now. You have Dwayne Brown, you have Max Mitchell, possibly even Elijah Vera Tucker kicking out and playing right tackle. Honestly, he played very well at right tackle last season before he got hurt. I'm a big fan of that, honestly, over everything. But you got to go and you got to get another left tackle. We know Joe Douglas loves his big men. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get Broderick Jones here at number 13.
Yeah, I like Broderick Jones. Also potentially takes off the Isaiah Wynn replacement for New England for the long run. So it's a way of giving a middle finger to your in-division rival. Patriots, I love going O-line for them, but when I have my boy Joey Porter Jr. here, I could just dream. He's my number 2 player in the class. I could just dream of Bill Belichick developing Joey Porter's man-to-man skills. I already know he's going to be used properly, so I think he could have, speaking of the Jets, a Sauce Gardner-esque rookie season with Bill Belichick working with him.
They can never let us have anything nice, huh?
I know. I'm sorry.
Completely fine. But honestly, I saw a tweet earlier today that had me cracking up. It was like New England has the logical pick here with a corner and offensive
Yeah.
lineman, and then they go take Bijan Robinson instead. It's like you just never know what Bill Belichick is thinking. It's always like a big FU to everyone whenever he picks. But
Every time.
Green Bay at number 15 here, a lot of different ways that you can go. I was looking towards offensive line here at first because, Yosh Neiman right now is still the right tackle of the future. I don't know how true that is on the depth chart. You still have Elton Jenkins there. So you could always kick out and play right tackle. So I'm going to hold off on that for now. And I'm actually going to go to the secondary, and I'm going to take Brian Branch here with this pick. This is a pick that I've seen pick up steam a lot recently. Well, to be fair, I've seen Brian Branch to the Eagles, I've seen Brian Branch to the Packers, and I've seen Brian Branch to the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. So, there's just, you don't know what to believe here, but he's here right now. He's kind of one of my favorite players in the entire class, and I think that this would be an excellent fit for the Green Bay Packers.
Absolutely. It's been a pick I've been looking at for a while. They like to also take slot corners and move them to safety. So it also fits their draft history. Whether they're going to go an edge rusher or safety, all we know is that they're not going to help their quarterback with a wide receiver. So pick number 16, I think defensive back is something that's very underrated as a need for Washington, and going right down the street and getting Deonte Banks is going to be my prerogative. He's an incredible athlete, and I think that in the right system, he can absolutely shine.
It's funny that you mentioned that because after next year,
Yeah.
you know how many cornerbacks Washington has under contract?
How many? It's like
one.
One? Oh, Jesus. Well, there you go. Now it's even more of a pressing issue. I thought it was two, but I'm tripping.
So there you go. I could be wrong too, but I know it's like shockingly low to the point where I was like, "Oh God, that's terrible." But it's crazy. Deonte Banks is a really, really solid player. I love that pick a lot. So I'm going to trade this pick to you. I want you to pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is your favorite team, and I'll take the Detroit Lions.
Oh no. See, I was hoping that I could just criticize you on this one. So, yeah, Deonte Banks is my favorite pick for the Steelers at the moment as well. Defensive back is something that we've just never ever had since Troy Polamalu days. Minka's great, but still, just having consistent secondaries, something that's more of a fairy tale dream than a reality. But for the Steelers,
Patrick Peterson doesn't do it for you.
the guy is already ordering his funeral stuff, so I wouldn't be really too excited about that. It's better than nothing, though. I gotta admit, it is better than nothing. But looking at positions, I would look at probably right tackle. I would love to go after Darnell Wright here. Peter Skoronski is amazing, but we've just signed 1 billion guards, so even if he doesn't work, you can't really find a role for Peter, even though I think he's better. I am actually going to go with the pick where you're a little bit confused on it. I'm going to go Darnell. I'll explain really quickly why he's my number one offensive tackle.
Okay. Whoa, wait a minute. I'm very happy that you went because that was the same pick that I was going to make. Yeah. I'm very interested to hear about this tackle number one situation here.
So I have Peter Skoronski as my offensive lineman one. So I'll clarify that. I don't have him listed as a pure tackle. So
no, neither do I. Yeah.
So Darnell, he has slip-ups, right? He obviously is not a super polished player, but he's 335 pounds. He's extremely athletic. He is comfortable on both the left and right side. And the thing that really sticks out to me are his games versus Will Anderson, because both of those games, he was absolutely stellar. So I think that in a situation where he could be in a rotation, or you can also have him competing for a job, I think that extra motivation and the development curve is going to be super projectable over his career. I mean, he played 1 year at right tackle, and he was able to stop Will Anderson. He played phenomenally for a right tackle, and he never had experience there. So for me, I think that shows his long-term projection, somebody who could be a truly special tackle.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
There you go.
Well, now that you said that you were going to criticize me, I guess you really had no criticisms at 17.
There you go. Yep. No criticisms at all.
Now I have pick number 18 after taking a two-pick break here. I have 18 and 19 back-to-back. So what I'm going to do here is I'm maybe outside the box for some people here. I'm going to go offensive line. Peter Skoronski is still sitting on the board here. I really think, as I talked about earlier before, the guard situation, interior offensive line situation gets a little bit hairy past this year. And I think, like you said, Peter Skoronski projects way better as a guard in the NFL level. And I think that this would be, Detroit consistently has had a great offensive line for some years now. You got to keep just building on it, making it stronger. And I think Skoronski would be a great pick here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just want to kick Hal Vaitai ass out of Detroit. That's my goal. My number one goal. If you can get me there, I'm going to do it.
Then on the back as well, I have pick number 19 here. And defensive line is something that I'm looking at. I'm also looking at Nolan Smith here to play outside linebacker, but I'm going to call a little bit of an audible here. I really like Cam Smith here at this pick. Now, I know in my where we previously discussed before we started recording, I don't even think I had Cam Smith in the first round, but I really I think Cam Smith is one of the best zone cover corners in the entire class. I think that he was getting a lot of love early on and not so much love after that. I really like Emmanuel Forbes here as well. I just love the fact that he has that pedigree, that SEC pedigree, 14 picks in 3 seasons. He consistently shut down a multitude of NFL caliber wide receivers, but I'm going to go Cam Smith here. I think that he packs a little bit more of a punch, and I think this would be a good fit in Tampa Bay.
Intriguing. I like it. For the Seahawks, I'm intrigued with Quentin Johnston just because you can never have enough boundary receivers. And I would love to end up just kicking Tyler Lockett to the slot, having DK and Quentin on the outside. But I want to talk about, we actually went after Will Anderson, didn't we? Did you select him earlier? Because I want to bring up the idea, if you select Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, pairing both of those guys up, just a dream. Just a dream. So the guys who I'm looking at is Quentin Johnston, and then this is a super underrated pick, something that nobody has the balls to do, really, because it might require not really balls, but more stupidity. Jack Campbell. They really value a commander of that defense, and 6'5", 250, incredible zone ability, and at the combine proved everybody wrong that he was a subpar athlete. And he actually ended up being the highest RAS linebacker, I believe, at the combine. To me, I feel like they are the type to reach on a player like that. They drafted Jordan Brooks.
I was going to say they did it with Jordan Brooks.
Yep. So I feel like they might do the same exact thing here, and I'm going to go after Jack Campbell.
I love that. I think, when Brooks comes back and he's ready to go, Brooks and Campbell on the inside. Oh my God. Woo.
I know.
Awesome. I love that pick. I love that pick, actually. C+, get out of here with this. So a couple different ways that I've taken this pick in the past. I know Bijan's sitting there. I know.
Yeah.
Just let me explain. I like Quentin Johnston as well. Like you said, you can never have too many boundary receivers. Addison as well is intriguing to me. I even liked Jalen Hyatt for a while because they're really in need of some burning speed on the outside.
Yeah.
But once I saw Hyatt's 40 time, I thought he was going to run a lot faster than he did. And I was kind of put off by it. So I think with the recent rumors with Austin Eckler, I think I'm going to go Bijan here, especially if he's sitting here at pick 21. I honestly don't think on draft night he will be sitting here at pick number 21. I think we might see the Eagles take him at 10, which would be crazy, but especially with Rashad Penny and Kenneth Gainwell. But I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson here. I think that after you get past Austin Eckler, there's nothing to look forward to in that backfield of the Chargers. And this is a guy that could be 3 down every single drive. And I think that this would be an excellent pick, home run pick here.
So I want to highlight something that we were talking about earlier. You're actually highlighting how Cam Smith didn't even make it into like your the last time around. And I think people don't understand how much variability there is in mock drafts. Even when you do them back-to-back days, good players fall. This happens in the real draft too. It's like, how the heck did that guy get there? He's a top 15 player. It just requires a couple teams to say, I value this guy more. And then another team's like, well, we don't really need a running back. We need this guy more. And it just continues like a domino effect. And somehow Bijan, who's the best running back since Saquon, ends up there at 21. I was evaluating him at 10. It was in this video that he could have been at 10. Things happen in the draft. It doesn't mean they're the 21st best player. It doesn't mean that they would be the 10th best player if they went earlier. Sometimes picks happen because a team just wants to go with their gut and they think that's the best thing for them. So it's not an evaluation of talent. Sometimes shit happens. And
You couldn't have said it better. You really couldn't have.
I had to get that off my chest because it's so true. I'll have a player like Nolan Smith go at pick 10, but all of a sudden he'll be there at pick 31 in the next mock. And it's not because he's that much worse. sometimes things don't line up. And there's good players. There's a lot more than just one good player each pick. Like this one, I am going to end up going after Quentin Johnston, but I do think there are multiple other players that you can take. But I am going to go after Quentin Johnston because I want to get, if Lamar stays, a bigger receiver because I think that's a better mold for him.
Yeah, I really like the idea of hopefully a healthy Rashad Bateman and Quentin Johnston on the field together.
Yeah.
That one random 5 catch for 80-yard game really instilled some hope in me in Rashad Bateman, but we just can't see him healthy. But I think that that's great. And I mean, especially like you said, if Lamar stays, you got to get the guy some help on the outside. I mean, how many times can he target Mark Andrews in a game?
That's true. That's true. I will say this. I think that Baltimore's done a great job trying to put weapons around Lamar, but they're getting the best player available, not the best player available for Lamar. I feel like they're doing it a little bit wrong. They're kind of getting the best receivers because I love Devin Duvernay. Rashad Bateman's great, but like you got James Prochet in there as well, pony out SMU. But it just doesn't work. You look at those bigger targets, that's what Lamar feels comfortable throwing to. And, if you focus more on what your quarterback's strengths are and what his comfortabilities are, that's going to be a lot better because they've drafted 10 wide receivers in the past 4 years or since Lamar's been drafted. Doesn't mean that it's the best receivers for him.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on, we have the Minnesota Vikings here at pick number 23. So a little bit interesting here. I was initially thinking D-line, but after signing Marcus Davenport, they signed Dean Lowry as well. I'm not so excited about their potential outside linebackers, their 3-4 DNs. One player that I think that's still on the board that can make a real impact here in Minnesota is Calijah Kancey. I think that this would be an absolute smash. I know he's undersized, but at the same time, 6'1", 280 with that type of speed, you line him up at defensive end in the 3-4. I think he just creates absolute chaos. I really do. I know that they went after it. It was a point of emphasis in free agency to get better on the defensive line, and they have. But I think that this could be the piece de resistance for them for their offseason.
Yeah. So for the Jaguars, I think that with the loss of Jawan Taylor, I think it's a great move to go Anton Harrison. He actually started out the year playing a game at right tackle, stepping in for Wanya Morris, so he at least has experience there. And I think he's one of the most polished tackles in the draft. He is my actual tackle too. So
I was going to ask you because I said in a couple videos previously that I think Anton Harrison's probably the best pass protector in the entire class.
Yeah, I'm actually checking it right now on my board. I think he has the highest grade for pass blocking from the tackles. And he does. So it looks like we're in alignment on that one for sure. Yeah, great player.
He really is. I mean, I was kind of high on him early on as a fringe, like early second, maybe late first. But after watching him just maul in pass blocking, I'm like, all right, well, this guy's going to get a shot for sure. Yeah. But now I have the New York Giants here at pick number 25. Jordan Addison is still on the board. But you have to get the quarterback some people to block in front of him. And if you look at the offensive line situation for the New York Giants, it's not good. It's absolutely not good. So especially on the interior, I know you have your bookend tackles for the next 5+ years. Andrew Thomas, Evan Neal. Hopefully he has a better second year, which I think he will. Absolutely. I'm going to go with O'Cyrus Torrence here. I think that just having a massive human being in the middle, 6'5", 346, around there, something like that. I think 338 or 346. I could be getting the numbers wrong, but he's huge. He's huge. And that's exactly what they need on the interior. I was also considering John Michael Schmitz here for the center position, but I'm going to go with a guard here with O'Cyrus Torrence.
I like it. For the Cowboys, I think there's my way of going about it. There's 3 main focuses for me. Boundary corner to develop under Stephon Gilmore, as well as Trevon Diggs, of course. No shit. Tight end, because Dalton Schultz is bye-bye. Of course, Kellen Moore is not there, so I guess there's less of an emphasis on the tight end being a primary weapon of the offense, as well as a developmental offensive tackle. They showed that they were willing to do it last year, and I'm actually going to go the developmental offensive tackle with Dawand Jones, and I'll explain really quickly why. Do they need him? No, not with Terrence Steele there. He's there for 1 more year, so to be fair, there is that hole opening up in the future. But when you think about the teams you're going to be competing against, Buffalo in the Super Bowl, Buffalo, Cincinnati, the Chiefs, all of them could probably at least try to get a right tackle or a developmental tackle nonetheless. So you're not only arming yourselves, also the Eagles potentially can take one to train under Lane. You are disarming your competition. So that's why I go with that one.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I like that you explain that because I try and explain that to people as well, to
Mhm.
where they automatically just look at the depth chart and they go, well, we're good. Why did you take
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
You know, not only for the now, you're building for the future all the time
Mhm.
with these young guys. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate that you said that. And also, not only that, they could use the offensive line help because as of right now, Chuma Idoga is their starting left guard, I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah.
not where you want to be offensive line wise. So
No.
I like that pick a lot. I mean, Asa, obviously a massive man as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, just a big ball of clay, someone that you could just mold into exactly what you want. I think it's a great pick there. And a super underrated explanation as well.
Thank you.
Buffalo kind of going with the same route here.
Mm.
I think that Josh Allen's ability to extend the play and just his escapability kind of masks the odor of just how poor their offensive line plays at times. And I'm going to go with some interior offensive line help. Like I just said before, with the New York Giants, I really like John Michael Schmitz. Mitch Morse still has a little bit of time left. I'm going to hold off on the center position. I'm going to take a guard, and I'm going to take Steve Avila. I really think that I was sort of high on him, not so much. His performance at the Senior Bowl just stalling every single defensive lineman that he came up against. I said that this guy is one of the great guards of the future in the NFL. And I think that this would be a perfect, maybe not the sexiest pick for the Buffalo Bills, who could be, there for a receiver, maybe, could be there for, a safety or a cornerback, maybe, a linebacker, maybe even. I think Steve Avila would be a good pick, though.
Awesome. For me, I'm going to, for Cincinnati, go Dalton Kincaid. Lost Hayden Hurst. I feel like it would just be a hand in glove fit.
Love
And I
it.
think he has like a 2% drop rate on his entire career. And we all know this guy gets crazy amount of targets. So you got sure hands. That's going to be key for getting those first downs.
I'm curious to get your insight on this because I said that really my top 3 tight ends were Kincaid at 1, Washington at 2, and Mayer at 3. The reason why I feel like is Kincaid is the best receiving, definitely the best receiving option. I mean, exceptional route runner, like you said, tremendous hands. Maybe not the best blocker. That's okay. That's all right. Darnell Washington on the flip side, one of the best blocking tight ends in college football. 6'7", 260 pounds, 4.6 speed. That's a guy that you could kind of just throw out there and go, I'm just going to throw the ball up there and he'll probably catch it. And then you have Michael Mayer, who's good at everything, not great at really anything though. So I'm curious to kind of see what you think, what your like top 3 is there.
So he is not my top 3. He's my number 4 tight end. So I know ballsy decision, but I have never been high on Michael Mayer. I've actually moved him up just out of more like pity for him than anything. But my number 1 tight end is Dalton Kincaid. He's the only tight end that actually is graded out as a top 30 player for me. But then my second one was originally my tight end 1. It's Sam Laporta. I feel like he is one of those guys, diamond in the rough, really solid blocker. He has a high drop rate, but at the end of the day, you have a really garbage quarterback throwing you the ball.
Yeah.
I don't really blame him for dropping the ball that much. So I think that could change in the NFL. Very smooth as a route runner as well. I just think that he's the full package, and it's going to be one of those guys that's a huge surprise when he comes into the NFL. It's like, where the heck has this guy been? Well, he's been dealing with an awful quarterback. And then I have Darnell Washington at 3, just because if he hits the right system and he has the right role, you could really have someone truly special that somebody else can't have. But I do think that since we've seen, what's his name, the Jaguars and Packers, Mercedes Lewis, we've seen him have success. I think it could be a very similar situation, even if he's not maximized his potential.
Well, that's not very inspiring, but
that's fair. But you have a solid baseline. You've seen that it's been proven that someone like that.
I mean, Mercedes Lewis has been in the NFL 17 years. So
like
something like that.
Years, damn near. Yeah, he's not the youngest fella. He's not a spring chicken. We'll say that.
Yeah, but no, I definitely agree with you there. Also, I did a little bit of film study on Laporta when I did my Chargers mock draft because I had him in, I believe it was the 3rd or 4th round drafted to the Chargers, and his deep route running ability is tremendous for a tight end that's not really all that fast.
I know.
Like I love it. And like you said, he's not really the greatest. He doesn't really have the greatest hands, but like you said, if it's outside your catch radius, you really can't catch it. So
Yeah, you can't do much more than bail yourself out to a certain degree.
yeah, seriously. But all right. So New Orleans here at 29. A couple players I really, really like here. I like Lucas Van Ness here a lot. I think that the D-line, especially after losing David Onyemata, they signed Nathan Shepard away from my Jets. Thank you so much for finally getting that guy off my team. And they signed, Kaylee Saunders, I believe, too. They signed as well. Not really inspiring to me on the inside. On the outside, I'm pretty sure it's even worse. So I'm going to go with Lucas Van Ness, actually. I feel like I still believe in today's game that the game is won and lost in the trenches. And if you have a garbage defensive line, there's really not much we could do for it. You can cover, you can have the greatest cover corners in the world, but I doubt that they can cover for 6, 7, 8 seconds. So you need some pressure there. And I think Van Ness, he's really green in the fact that he's never started a collegiate football game, which I think is hilarious. Yeah. That he's considered by many a first round pick, and he's never started a game before. But the flashes are definitely there, and I think that he tested out really, really good at the combine as well. I'm going to take him here because they definitely need some defensive line help.
So this was something we were discussing earlier. I'm actually going to engage a trade here with my Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles basically have nothing in terms of like mid-day 3 picks. And the Steelers still see Jordan Addison on the board. So just do whatever you can to make the trade work. But the Steelers
I'll do it, baby. I'm going to get it done.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. So, Jordan Addison pairing up with Kenny Pickett, similar to how we just did CJ Stroud and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think that having your college wide receiver quarterback chemistry is, kind of the way of the future with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase kind of setting the league on fire and others as well. I think it's just the smart thing to do. Yeah,
I'm going to agree with you there. And it's been rampant, the come get me. When a player says come get you, they want to play there. But I think that's a great pick there. And honestly, something that I wasn't even thinking about at the time. So that's why you're great. So
thank you.
Jordan Addison here. Last pick in the first round. We could do a bonus pick at 32 if you want, since you still have the Philadelphia Eagles on the board there. But Kansas City here, I think I really like Zay Flowers at this pick here because I feel like you got to get something for Patrick Mahomes, but at the same time, I don't know. I want an upgrade over Lucas Niang, but I feel like they're kind of high on Lucas Niang as their right tackle. He's been waiting for the past couple of years. He opted out of the 2020, his rookie season because of COVID, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go Nolan Smith.
Yeah, thank God. I was like, don't do this. I really did not want to see
but for a second, I was really thinking about Bryan Bresee there for like the smallest second. But no, you got to go Nolan Smith. Tremendous athlete. I think he's going to be an absolute star at the next level. I just did a player profile on him last week, and I just couldn't get enough of watching him when he was healthy.
Yeah. No, he's great. I got to admit, he's great. We'll toss in the Eagles why not? Might as well get that 32nd pick. If I'm sitting here, I'm the Eagles. I just gained another pick. It's the thinnest defensive line class that I've seen in a hot minute. And Bryan Breeze's value is just too damn good to pass on here at 32. So for me, I think it's totally worth it. You grab a guy with an extremely high ceiling. You don't need to start him immediately. He's 300 pounds, long-armed, a solid athlete. To me, I think it's the best thing you can do.
And you get that Clemson connection right away with those first 2 picks there.
Exactly. Chemistry is everything, man.
That 3 right there, you have Davis, who I'm assuming is going to step into a starting role at this point this season. You got Davis, you got Myles Murphy, and then you have a rotational player, I'm assuming, kind of like a Davis effect with Bryan Bresee. And the Eagles consistently rotate 8, 9 guys. So he's going to see some good playing time there. Oh, what a pick. What a pick that would be. I think that's great.
It's a fun.
There you have it. There's some guys here that you're probably surprised didn't make the first round, but I feel like that's just how it goes with this year. I can't tell you how many different times I've had different players not make the first round, not make it until the middle of the second round. It's just sometimes you kind of forget.
For sure. That's just what happens on draft night too. You get enamored with the player here, you get enamored with the player there, and somehow one outshines the other, even though they really shouldn't. So good stuff happens in the draft. Fun stuff, sometimes bad stuff. and hopefully your team doesn't choose the bad thing.
Yeah, well, they have usually. Last year was an exception to the rule, but they usually draft pretty shitty. But
Very
Alex, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on. This is the first collaboration I've actually done on the Mock Draft Guy YouTube channel. Can't thank you enough for coming on. Please, if you don't subscribe to Hail Mary Sports, you don't know what you're missing. Alex, obviously, as you've seen, the proof is in the pudding. He's tremendous. He knows his stuff. I'm going to link his channel in the bio below. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you guys so much. Alex, man, really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was awesome. Looking for more in the future. Feel free to stay tuned here as well.